want to be known as the law firm of choice for X practice area. And all of their efforts are focused around that, and you neglect your brand or the experience on your site, or even the ability for these other avenues to drive you into new markets. You see, that's sort of the danger of what can happen. But what else can happen is perhaps more serious, is that that one basket has very diminishing returns. What that means is your competition will catch on. You need to diversify. For this, I'll give you an example. A very small client we had had 6 years ago. They focused 100% entirely on SEO, search engine optimization, organic search, to get ranked for some very good keywords. And it literally grew their business beyond what they expected. But what happened is, 5 years later, larger, nationally known brands caught on. And they said, oh, that's where the business is. Now they are also going after that same keyword space, and all of a sudden, where this little player was dominating, now is competing in the same ranking space against these huge brands, and they're losing that traffic even though they still rank. So what they've had to do is diversify. Also bring in paid search, bring in social media, re-engage their audience. It's the only way they've been able to stay afloat, because your competition will increase. This next point is, I do apologize, it is a little bit technical, but it's important to be here. Changing algorithms make it impossible to sit still. What I mean by that is, and sorry, so this slide is supposed to show 2006 here, and it's supposed to show 2011 right there. In 2006, if you said we want to rank for human resources consulting, we want to be #1 for that term. You had primarily 3 factors to look at: the contents on your site, your keywords on your site, if you've got a good domain with authority, and you got links coming to your site. That's all you needed to get ranked for that keyword. What's happened now, 5 years later, is Google is getting smarter and smarter and engaging people more in their algorithm. And what they say now in 2011 is these are the factors. Yes, still content. Yes, still links and authority. But now, things like, how are people talking about you in social media platforms? How are people using your website? Are they staying on it? Is it loading fast? Are they using it with a mobile device? And if so, are they leaving? And are they converting? Do any of you know if you use Google Analytics on your website? Quite a few. A lot of people are paranoid that, uh-oh, that means that Google has our data. They know what people are doing. But think about that. Google has your data. They know. It's a good thing, but they know what happens when someone comes to your website. So take, for example, someone searches corporate law firm Toronto, and they land on your site. You're ranked #1. They land on your site. They leave. They say it's irrelevant. For whatever reason, the design's not good, it took too long to load, the content isn't relevant. Google sees that they left. Your bounce rate goes high, your abandonment rate goes high. And Google's algorithms can then say, the more people that leave, the less relevant that site is, therefore it will rank lower. So if you've been concentrating on SEO for all of those years and neglecting the usability of your site, your SEO is going to suffer. So that's the major danger. Any questions?
You've mentioned paid search.
Yes.
Will you be covering that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I apologize if I mention sort of acronyms and pieces right now. I'm going to go through each one of them in sort of explicit, gory detail soon. I just have one more. Oh, I'll get into the second danger. This is really what I want to say is, why does this often happen? It often happens because it's a hippo. The decision is made by the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion. As in, the person who makes the call says, in my experience, our audience doesn't, our audience isn't on social media. Our audience doesn't search. Our audience doesn't find us that way. It's relationships that we build. Perhaps legitimately so. But what we say is, let your audience decide how they want to find you, what platforms they want to use. You do the research, you just need to meet the demand. Don't decide for them. And for that, I included this example. So this is a company we met with several years ago, and the principal of the company said, you know, I don't believe in it. Our company, it's because of a fairly high-end service that they provide, and our clients aren't going to find us in Google. So we asked if he'd give us the opportunity to prove him wrong. Several years later, now that they are ranked, and we can produce the statistics of the conversions on their website, who from their visitors is converting to become a lead, we find a very different tale. We find that between Google and Yahoo and Bing, they're well over 40% of their inbound lead generation is through organic search. And see there, he just let his audience decide how to find them, and it turns out most of them find them by search. So the second danger, we call I mentioned the bolt-on strategy, and it's to be commended when a company, you know, takes sort of things in stage processes. We want to do our site, and then we want to do SEO, and then we're going to do social media. What ends up happening is work with so many companies that they sort of bolt on those services from different departments, and you have your IT team who kind of has their hold on the site, but then marketing really wants to push for search, and sales wants to push for social media, and you often get that lack of cohesion. So the danger, the risk there is if you don't start from the beginning with that cohesive strategy, the end result is that of decreased performance or productivity. So hopefully the duct tape.
Sorry, but at some point you're going to have bolt-on services because the internet is changing and so many different things are out there. You know,
yes.
Like you say, 5 years ago, maybe social media wasn't such a big thing, so you developed your site with SEO. Now what are you suggesting? You scrap the whole site and start again with a new cohesive
Think of it like a house.
thought process?
No, think of it like a house. If you said, well, we want to start with walls, but then later we're going to add some doors. And then maybe eventually windows and even a roof when we feel that that's important. The point is we say start with the very important basics, and I'm going to outline the basics, because then later on when you want to add a granite countertop, you're not remodeling the whole house and you're not in conflict with the windows at the front. So that's kind of the point, is there are some absolute fundamentals that need to be in place and need to be in cohesion. Just like your website traffic and usability needs to work well with your SEO strategy and needs to work well with your social media strategy. So there are fundamentals, and yes, tomorrow, next year, there will be new things which will work in sync with that foundation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
Justin,
Yes.
you often hear that businesses say, you know, I don't need to be ranked. You know, my business comes from few contacts. Why do I need to rank on Google? You know, what does that matter?
It depends on the company. For some companies, like the one we just showed, it's very direct. The correlation between whether or not they're ranking in search and whether or not they're getting business from search. So ranking equals traffic equals leads or sales. For others, it is about image. You know, we are known as I hate to keep going back to it, but it's so easy, the law firm of choice for whatever service area. But when you search for that service area, practice area, you find all of the other top law firms. So there are different reasons for different industries, different companies. But regardless, you know, you need a good presence online, which often includes search. Does that make sense? Okay. So, as I've been saying over and over, the solution is a holistic online presence, which means taking a very unified approach. This is based on you first understanding your customer demographics, obviously, but their motivations and their needs, what we call their psychographics, and even their preferred platforms, which is quite interesting, and we'll show some statistics later on to explain that. So, this is the big question. How do we get there? Well, I like this quote from H. Stanley Judd: "A good plan is like a roadmap. It shows the final destination, but usually the best way to get there." So the next few slides are hopefully for you going to define that roadmap of how to get there. Step one, probably not surprisingly, is research. So market research is painfully obvious. You all do market research into who is your target audience, their age and gender and their motivations. That's usually no-brainer when it comes to marketing. But the next is